When it comes to Christian filmmaking, Rich Christiano and his twin brother Dave are highly respected. Today, we have the honor of having Rich Christiano as our special guest to talk about their latest film, MindReader. Thanks for joining us, Rich.
Carynn, it's great to be here. Thank you very much. Looking forward to talking to you about this film.
Yeah, definitely. So before we show the film trailer and let people know in Las Vegas how they can see the film in person, I would love to know, how did you get started in the film industry?
Okay, and just as a tease for our viewers, we're doing these showings for free, so keep that in mind. My brother and I have been doing Christian films since 1985, but our story starts earlier than that. I grew up in a small town in Waterloo, New York. That's between Rochester and Syracuse, a town of 5,000 people. The biggest thing in our town was sports. So during football season, my brother and I, when we were kids, we wanted to be professional football players. During basketball season, professional basketball players. And during baseball season, professional baseball players. But none of that was ever going to happen. The only other thing to do was to go to movies. And we didn't have a movie theater in our town. We went to the town next door. There was one movie theater with one screen called The Strand, and we would go watch films. And my brother and I would sit out in the 20th row, and we called it 20th row sense. We'd sit there and watch a movie from Universal, and we'd say, man, that was a loser. Universal should have called us. We could have told them this movie's no good. And we noticed that the movies we liked did well at the box office, and the movies we didn't like bombed. And we thought, you know what? We should go to California and try to work for Universal and try to help them out. You know, we're kids. Well, finally, when I was 17 years old, somehow, some way, I got a movie idea. It was a sophisticated high school story. And this is back in the 1970s. And I started writing it. I wrote it in 2 years. I actually wrote a manuscript. And my brother and I got the desire to go to Hollywood to try to make movies. Now, we didn't tell anybody this in Waterloo, New York, because they would make fun of you. You guys are going to go to Hollywood? But when we were 20 years old, we got in our car, and my brother, myself, and another high school friend, we drove to Hollywood. And 6 months earlier, I had sent my script to a guy by the name of Max Baer Jr. Do you know who he is? You've ever heard of him?
I do not. No.
All the viewers will. Max Baer Jr. played Jethro on the Beverly Hillbillies TV show, very popular series in the 60s. And he was making movies at the time. So I saw him on a talk show. I liked what he said. So we sent our script there. So when we got to Hollywood, the three of us, and we're 20 years old, we walked into his office. He was not there that day, but his secretary was. I remember her name. Her name was Jimsy Eason. She was very nice to us. And I'm doing most of the talking. Did you get my script I sent you? I sent you my script. You got to make this movie. You know, I'm real zealous. And she goes, what was it called? It's called The Valedictorian. And she looked behind her, and she probably had 100 scripts behind her. And she gave it a look. I'm sorry. I said, I sent it. You had to sign to get in. No, I don't remember. So she goes, do you have another one? I said, got it right here, you know. So I gave it to her, and she opened it up, and she goes, this isn't a screenplay. This is it's a manuscript. It's like a novel. I said, yeah, I don't know how to write a screenplay. She goes, we only take screenplays here. I said, oh man, we came all the way from Waterloo, New York. You gotta look at this. This movie has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
So I guess she felt sorry for us. She goes, all right, I'll read it. So I gave her my number. We left. And I didn't hear from her maybe for like 3 or 4 weeks. But finally, I got a phone call, and she goes, Max Baer wants to see you. He wants to talk to you about your movie. Wow. Now, I want to give this little script idea some credibility here. And this is what Jimsy told me. She took it home and she set it down. And it sat there and sat there and sat there. So one night she goes, oh, I got to read this stupid little thing these guys wrote. She goes, I'm going to read it for 5 minutes. I'm going to tell them I read it, and that's it. So she sat down and read it, and she read the whole thing all the way through. She walked into the office the next day. Max was in the office. She walked into his office. She totally cleared his desk. She set this thing in front of him. She says, Max, you need to read what these kids have written. This is your next movie. I'm telling you, this is your next movie. So we met with Max. He wanted to buy it. He offered us scale pay, which was still decent pay because it was union pay. And he was going to give me the ability to write the screenplay. And we negotiated back and forth with Max Baer for 1 year, not over money, but over content. He wanted to take this sophisticated, wholesome high school story and turn it into the Pom Pom Girls. if you get my drift, make it like an R-rated movie, and was going to ruin it. So I never signed the deal with him. He had an assistant named Greg Blackwell who wanted to do the movie. He offered us twice the money. I did sign the deal with them. They reneged on their first payment, so we got the script back. We gave the script to just one more guy, a guy named Robert Thompson. I know you never heard of him, but he did a movie called The Paper Chase. He directed a movie called The Paper Chase with John Houseman, and some people know that. So the point is, we're from Waterloo, New York. We're absolutely nobodies. And we gave this script to three guys, and they all wanted to make it. So this story had some merit. In fact, I still have this script. It still sits here.
Wow.
Then finally, Universal Studios approached it and said, Christiano Brothers, we want to give you a 5-picture deal. No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. But over a 9-month period, see, my brother and I were raised Roman Catholics. We were not believers, though. I mean, we believed you could believe in God and live a good life to go to heaven, and that's not what the Bible teaches. But over a 9-month period in 1980, both of us became born-again, Bible-believing Christians, and it totally changed our lives. And God, in his grace, says, I got to get you guys out of Hollywood because I got to give you a different perspective toward filmmaking. And we went back to Arkansas State University to get a graduate degree in radio, TV, film. My brother had gone to undergraduate school there. That's why we knew about that university. He graduated first because I had to take undergraduate courses. And my brother got a job in San Antonio, Texas at San Antonio College, teaching film and video and stuff. And while there, he met a guy named Wendell Moody. And our desires was to make movies. And Wendell said, you guys should make Christian films. And we didn't even know what they were. And so we watched a couple. And back then, you could shoot shorter films, 30, 40, 50 minutes that would rent out the churches. And you'd shoot them on 16 millimeter. And Wendell said, this would be a good place for you to start. Because we were just writers. And so my brother bought a book on lighting, and the school had a camera that we could use, a 16 millimeter film camera. And in 1985, we shot our first movie called The Daylight Zone, which you can watch on our YouTube channel, by the way, youtube.com/Christian movies. But that was the start of it for us. We became very passionate after we got saved to want to make films for the Lord. And now we've made 20 movies. And MindReader is my latest movie. My brother and I made 3 movies together that he directed. And then we split our company into 2. And now each guy writes and directs his own films, but we help each other on scripts. So that kind of lets you know how we got into the Christian movie industry. And we also distribute other guys' movies. I probably distribute films for about 40 or 50 filmmakers. So our passion has been producing, writing, directing, and even distributing Christian movies. And we've been doing it since 1985. So now you're kind of caught up at how I got into Christian films.
Yeah, definitely. That's an amazing story. And we definitely want to unpack more of that. And before we talk more about, your filmmaking experience and the film itself, let's roll the trailer.
Now I want you all to write down a number from 1 to 100. 83, 41, and 17. Please show us your pads. 83, 41, and 17. I believe I got them.
Seen the show 6 times now. Each of you have had a chance to see him at least once. And, just as I predicted, neither of you can tell me how he does it.
Your word is lockout.
That's right.
Your word is boy.
That's right. What I can tell you is that it is a boring routine at a 2-bit theater.
That boring routine is packing out that 2-bit theater every time they're putting on a show.
My name is Dexter, and I don't really do magic. I just read minds. Good night. Howard, how are you?
How about that Dexter out the theater? Isn't he something?
Yes.
I've been 3 times now. People are saying this man has supernatural powers.
There is something here like we have never seen before.
Pick out a card.
You think you can tell me what this card is without looking at it first?
Yeah, I do. And you don't want to play with me.
Nobody can read minds. He's doing something. He is going to make the association insignificant.
I agree. He's become a problem for us. But we need to be smart about how we solve that problem.
You see, the great Dexter can't do his act without his plans. Tell the truth!
This is very serious. They see you as a threat.
But how could they stop our show?
Trust me, they can. And they will.
Dexter, will you denounce the supernatural, yes or no?
Why don't you get to the truth of the matter, sir? The fact is, you and your associates and your years of experience can't figure out how this is done.
We gotta find out how he's doing this act, or find a way to stop him. And for me, preferably both.
Wow, so I've actually had the privilege of already seeing the film, so I don't want to give too much away, but one thing I can say is that this is going to have extreme impact, and not just impact, but eternal impact. Rich, so I just want to read what one of the viewers said about MindReader, which was, "I thought the movie was extremely creative and unique. It definitely encouraged me to share my faith." So what do you want to say about that?
I realize when the viewers watch the trailer here, there's no spiritual content in the trailer, but it's for a reason. After they see the movie, they'll know why we did the trailer the way that we did. But trust me when I tell you, this is a very evangelistic film. In other words, normally we have a philosophy when we do our Christian films. First, I want to please the Lord. If the Lord's not pleased, you got a 0. I don't care what it is. I don't care how many you sell. The Lord's got to be pleased. Second, we always want to try to edify and motivate Christians. And third, we want to share the gospel. This movie, it almost has a sole purpose, other than hopefully being an entertaining film and hopefully people think it's creative. The purpose is really to share the gospel, which makes this movie a tool. What we're hoping is that believers will bring non-believers to watch this movie, to plant seeds. I feel like it's, first of all, they're going to hear a thorough gospel presentation to the point where I think a person is without excuse after hearing this. But you're going to be able to talk to your friend, hey, what do you think? And hopefully get into discussion. Just so the viewers know, we're going to be showing this movie Monday night at the in Henderson at the Regal Green Valley Ranch, April 24th at 7 o'clock. And it's free admission. You need to go to our website at mindreadermovie.com and call the number there to ask about free tickets. We've actually booked the 2 biggest theaters that Regal has that night. We have 800 seats booked, and we're hoping to fill both of them. And then we're going to show it again the very next week, May 1st at the Regal Red Rock. We got a 480-seat theater booked there. And again, you know, we're hoping that believers will bring people that they think are on the fence for the Lord. They're not sure where they are spiritually. I think this can be a real discussion starter. This is a hard movie to talk about because you don't want to give things away. I'm really happy with the cast in this movie. The lead actor, his name is Hamish Briggs. He's going to be there on the 24th, so you'll get the chance to meet him. This is a very unique actor. First of all, he plays the mind reader in this movie, okay? And I read literally 200 actors before I found this guy. I read 800 actors to cast this movie. And I had most of the movie cast. I remember calling my brother one day and said, look, I don't think I can shoot this movie because I can't find the lead. We found a couple guys that we thought were okay, but you just don't want okay. And then Mr. Briggs came along and he has that Australian accent, you know, there's just something about him. Oh. And one thing about this, Carynn, I've had this idea for almost 20 years. And my brother and I probably talked about this 400 or 500 times over the years. In fact, years ago, I wrote some pages on it. But if you had asked me 2.5 years ago, Rich, what about that mind reader idea? Are you ever going to do that film? I said, no, Carynn, I can't find a way to get the message in it that I want. And then finally, an idea hit me. The trick in this movie is this. How do we bring the trailer into that? How do we bring the gospel into this trailer? That's the trick. Mm-hmm. That's what people come to the theater to see. Here's the thing I want to emphasize, though, this. Look, Christians go to church every week, and that's good. But what are we really doing to try to reach out to anybody? And I'm just telling you, Christian, as you're watching it, this movie is a tool for you to use to reach out. The Lord wants you to do ministry. And a lot of people rely on the pastor or the youth pastor. Their job, Ephesians 4 says, is to train the saints to do the ministry. And this is an opportunity. And you know what? You don't even have to share the gospel to them. We're going to do it through the movie. They're going to hear the truth, and you can talk to them about eternity. As you said earlier, I think it brings eternity right before your eyes. And hopefully people will use this and take advantage of this, and it's free. You know, I think that at the end, they might try to take a subtle love offering to help cover the cost, because there are costs involved. We're renting 3 theaters, but
Right.
I'll tell you, I think that we got an opportunity for people to be entertained, because it's an entertainment medium, movies, but with a message. And every movie has a message. Let me put it this way. Every movie you watch has a message. The question is, what is it saying? And this movie is going to try to point people for the Lord, which obviously what we want to try to do.
Right. That's so powerful. And that should be the goal of Christian filmmaking. And not just, there's so many Christian films out there that are impactful, but there's what I find, even myself as a producer, being in the industry for, almost 10 years, that a lot of Christian films, they're for Christians. They're only reaching Christians. Only a Christian is going to sign up to or purchase a ticket to see that film. But it sounds like you guys are finding a way and a strategy to reach people who are non-believers. And can you talk about that, like creating films that reach non-believers in a different way or a different route than what we've kind of seen before?
Here's how we kind of do it, though. I'll give you an example. We still need the believers. I still think the Lord wants to work through believers. In other words, I'm not doing what I would call a crossover movie. I'm not doing secular movies and this movie's a little different, where when you watch the trailer, it looks like it's totally a secular film. It starts with a Bible verse, this movie. This one is a little different, but normally in the past, in fact, I'll give you an example of what our philosophy became. There's a famous preacher named Charles Spurgeon that most people obviously have heard of. They know who he is. Yeah. He wrote a book years ago in the 1980s, in the 1800s, called Around the Wicket Gate. And basically, the wicket gate is the narrow gate of Matthew chapter 7, verse 14. And Spurgeon is saying this, and I'll kind of bring it up to modern times. Spurgeon is saying, look, outside the wicket gate or the narrow gate are thousands and thousands and thousands of people. These are Sunday school goers. These are intellectual believers in Jesus. These are people that think they're Christians, but they're really not. They're not followers of the Lord. And he goes, and what he would say is the church needs to try to reach these people. But what the church wants to do is they want to try to reach maybe the guy that works at the LA Times that is very liberal and could care less about Jesus. And Spurgeon says, don't worry about him. Jesus told you, don't take your pearl and cast it to the swine. Let's first reach people around the wicket gate. So what we've tried to do mainly with our films is first gear it towards the Christian to motivate him and edify him, but also put the gospel in there so a non-believer will consider Christ. And he's got to see it's different. I'll give you a quick example. Back in 2009, I released a movie called The Secrets of Jonathan Sperry. Maybe some of the viewers have seen that film, but it stars Gavin MacLeod, who was the captain on the Love Boat. Robert Guillaume's in that movie. And the movie takes place in 1970, and it's about a 75-year-old man that starts talking to these 3 12-year-old boys. He has Bible studies with them to motivate them to live for the Lord. Now, this is a very squeaky clean. It's Andy Griffith for the Lord, set in 1970, okay? So one night, I was in Chicago, and we were showing it to about 100 people that were interested in bringing it to their local theater. And as part of the intro, I said, do you guys have a gang problem here in Chicago? And of course, every hand went up. And I said, ask me why I say this is the perfect movie to show gang members. So we show the movie, and keep in mind, this is a squeaky clean film. Andy Griffith for the Lord. There's a bully in my movie. There's a harmless bully. So afterwards, when Gavin MacLeod was there with me and we're talking to the people, someone raises their hand and says, okay, how is this movie the perfect movie to show gang members? I said, look, it's perfect, and I'll tell you why. What do you want me to do? What's the Holy Spirit need to do? I got to make a movie that shows rapes and violence and guns and all this stuff that they see every day. I want to show them something 180 degrees different from what they used to seeing. They're going to watch this movie. They're all going to identify with the bully in this movie. I want to show them they've got to come clean to come to the Lord. The Lord wants them to go 180 degrees from where they are. And this to me has been a big thing in the church where, look, I almost say this, Carynn, the mission field's in the church, let alone outside the church. I mean, people always say, lots of times they look at our films and say, you guys preach to the choir. And I say, look, choir's not all saved. So there are different philosophies. I know other filmmakers have taken different philosophies, but we have always tried to motivate the core. In fact, I'll give you one other example. Let's say you and I were going to make a martial arts film, okay? So I'm going to give you a choice. We can put 1 fight in it, or we can put 8. What would you rather do if we're going to make a martial arts film? How many fights do you want?
Probably 8. More action?
Yeah, because you want to hit the core audience. And I think when it comes to the Christian movies, a lot of the filmmakers that I've dealt with over the years, they've missed the core audience that's going to buy their movie to hand it out. What makes MindReader a little bit differently, though, is it comes off secular when you watch the trailer. And the whole purpose of it is to share the gospel, which I think makes it a little bit of a stronger tool. Because I really think after the first scene, the viewer's captured. The mind reader is going to come out and do his bit. And it's like, how did he do that? How's he doing that? And that's really part of the movie. How's he doing it? And so whether you're a believer or non-believer, I think you're going to be pulled in and hopefully entertained by this movie. And then at the end, you're going to get a message that hopefully will make you think about eternity in the Lord.
That's awesome. Yeah. So for people who still haven't seen the trailer, I think we should run that one more time.
Now I want you all to write down a number from 1 to 100. 83, 41, and 17. Please show us your pads. 83, 41, and 17. I believe I got them.
Seen the show 6 times now. Each of you have had a chance to see him at least once. And, just as I predicted, neither of you can tell me how he does it.
Your word is locket.
That's right.
Your word is boy.
That's right. What I can tell you is that it is a boring routine at a 2-bit theater.
Well, that boring routine is packing out that 2-bit theater every time they're putting on a show.
My name is Dexter, and I don't really do magic. I just read minds. Good night.
Howard, how are you?
How about that Dexter out the theater? Isn't he something?
Yes.
You know, I've been 3 times now. People are saying this man has supernatural powers.
There is something here like we have never seen before.
Pick out a card.
You think you can tell me what this card is without looking at it first?
Yeah, I do. And you don't want to play with me.
Nobody can read minds. He's doing something. He is going to make the association insignificant.
I agree. He's become a problem for us. But we need to be smart about how we solve that problem.
You see, the great Dexter can't do his act without his plans.
Tell the truth!
This is very serious. They see you as a threat.
But how could they stop our show? Trust me, they can. And they will.
Dexter, will you denounce the supernatural, yes or no?
Why don't you get to the truth of the matter, sir? The fact is, you and your associates and your years of experience can't figure out how this is done.
We gotta find out how he's doing this act, or find a way to stop him. And for me, preferably both.
To get more information about this film or to call for free tickets, all you have to do is visit www.mindreadermovie.com. So, Rich, do you want to tell us how we can see the film in person in Las Vegas?
Yes, we're going to be showing it April 24th at the Regal Green Valley Ranch in Henderson. We've got 2 theaters booked, 2 400-seat theaters. So go to the website, mindreadermovie.com, call that number about getting free tickets. Then we're showing it May 1st at the Regal Red Rock in Las Vegas. And we got a 500-seat theater booked there. So again, call that number to get free tickets. And hopefully you're going to bring someone that needs to know the Lord. You're not sure where they are spiritually. That's the purpose of this movie. I do want to say one thing, this about the power of movies. So I'll give you a quick example. This is a true story. In 1991, the first movie I ever directed is a 39-minute movie called The Appointment. And I was showing it at a retreat. There were about 100 people there. And I knew the pastor wasn't there. So the guy running the retreat, I said, I'm going to do an intro. I'm going to try an experiment. So I had a guy stand up. I said, sir, do you go to church? He goes, yes, I do. I said, do you go every week? He goes, yes, I do. I said, okay. What did your pastor talk about from the pulpit 1 month ago? Now, Carynn, the guy looked at me like I asked him a chemistry question. You know, he didn't know. He looked at his wife. She didn't know. He looked back at me. He goes, I don't know. I said, you don't know? I'm going to tell your pastor on you. All the people started to laugh. He started to sit down. I said, wait a minute, sir. Let me ask you another question. You ever seen a movie called The Wizard of Oz? He goes, yes, I have. I said, when's the last time you've seen that movie? He goes, oh, it's been forever, 10, 15 years ago. I said, good. Tell me about it. The guy gave me the longest stare down, Carynn. I said, sir, if I gave you a half hour, could you tell me about Dorothy, Toto, Scarecrow, Tin Man, Lion, Wicked Witch, Munchkins, the whole thing?
Yep.
He said he could. This is a movie he hadn't seen for 10 or 15 years, but he could remember detail after detail, but couldn't remember what his pastor talked about 1 month ago. If you don't think movies are powerful, and sadly, the enemy has used them to destroy the morality of America, of the world really, but of America and families, and just destroyed. And sadly, the Christians just flock to watch anything. And, I think the Lord has provided some alternatives here. And I don't care if MindReader is the only Christian movie coming out this year. Maybe the Lord only wants you to watch one movie. Do you ever think about that? Go read Philippians 4:6 and apply that to movies. So hopefully people will take what we're doing here seriously. Maybe God is behind this, where he's raised up this project. We work hard on these films to try to deliver quality projects with real messages for the Lord. And it's an opportunity for you and us to do ministry by getting people there that we think near here to the truth. Time is getting shorter, right? Look at what's happening in our world. This can't go on that much longer. So the Lord is coming back, and now's the time to reach out to people. Today's the day of salvation. So hopefully people will take this film. And I really appreciate you, Carynn, and the station helping us out here. And go to mindreadermovie.com. Showings are coming up April 24th, May 1st. Call the number, get free tickets. Hope to see you at the theater.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rich, for your time. And we know that this film will impact many. And so, visit the website and go see that movie. It's going to be amazing. Thank you for watching Access Las Vegas and listening to our interview with Rich Christiano, the director and producer of MindReader. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we will be interviewing the lead actor, Hamish Briggs. You don't want to miss it. Have a blessed day.
To get more information about this film or to call for free tickets, all you have to do is visit mindreadermovie.com.